And here is the latest from Eyewitness News. The nuclear sub Minneapolis-St. Paul is christened and launched. We'll have a late report and local reaction. Mechanics for Eastern Airlines vote against the latest contract offer. That could lead to what the airline's president calls a catastrophic strike. To save money, the government wants to unload millions of acres of national forests, including parts of Superior and Chippewa in northern Minnesota. Tonight we'll go inside a burning building with rookie firefighters who learn how to stay alive while saving lives. And at Williams Arena, the Gopher hockey team is playing New Hampshire for the right to advance in the NCAA hockey tournament. We'll have all these stories, and we'll go on the road again with Jason Davis coming up next on Eyewitness News.
From television to movies to the Broadway stage, we've got it all covered on the next Entertainment Tonight.
I don't think I trust my mind nearly as much as I trust my gut.
Meet the star of The White Shadow, Ken Howard, as he talks about his transition from television to film.
Give me the part.
Plus an ET exclusive on Dina Merrill's first time on Broadway, singing and dancing just for you.
I'm having so much fun.
All on the next Entertainment Tonight.
Monday at 6:30 on Channel 5.
Now, Marcia Fleur, meteorologist Dave Dahl, and Larry Burnett with sports. This is Eyewitness News.
Good evening. The nation's largest domestic carrier of passengers may be socked with a machinist strike this week. 13,000 mechanics at Eastern Airlines say they'll walk out Wednesday if the company does not come up with a better contract. And Eastern Airlines President Frank Borman says that would be catastrophic for the airline, which bills itself as America's favorite way to fly. But Borman says Eastern will send 65% of its flights off as scheduled, even if scabs are hired to cross the mechanics' picket line. The union voted 4-1 against Eastern's offer, largely because it failed to include retroactive pay increases for 1982. But a local company spokesman says both sides will be back at the bargaining tables on Monday, in part because the union wants to bargain other issues. Eastern has 4 flights departing daily from the Twin Cities, as well as 4 coming in. Oil analysts are tonight seeing more cracks in the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, and they see the possibility of oil prices dropping further. The OPEC price of $29 a barrel has already been undercut by Egypt and Russia. Oil industry officials are predicting Great Britain will cut its oil prices again, and if they fall below the OPEC level, it could trigger another price war, benefiting us at the gas pump. Britain is key because it is in direct competition with OPEC member Nigeria. When Britain dropped prices the last time, Nigeria did too, breaking ranks with the rest of OPEC. At the Environmental Protection Agency, an official says tonight that William Ruckelshaus has accepted in principle and offered to become head of the agency. Ruckelshaus was the EPA's first administrator in 1970. He has so far refused comment about his reported job offer. Meanwhile, in dioxin-contaminated Times Beach, Missouri, the buyout is apparently going to take longer than expected. A St. Louis paper reports that instead of 6 months, it will take the federal government up to a year to purchase all the homes and businesses in that polluted town. People living in the Owatonna area should not have to worry about their water supplies being contaminated by a recent jet fuel leak. That is the conclusion of the Pollution Control Agency after investigating the spill. Last month, a portion of the Williams pipeline near Owatonna was ruptured. As a result, 200,000 gallons of jet fuel leaked out. The mess was cleaned up, but residents living up to 2 miles from the spill site started complaining of tasting and smelling fuel in their well water. So the PCA tested 10 wells in the area to see if they were tainted by the smell, and it found that there was no contamination. If the Reagan administration gets its way, millions of acres of our national forest will soon go up for sale. Nationwide, 3% of those public lands will be auctioned off, but the government would like to sell 9% of its forests here in Minnesota. Environmental specialist Tom Stewart reports on what the sale would mean for northern Minnesota.
The Chippewa and Superior National Forests cover hundreds of square miles of northern Minnesota. The federally protected woods and lakes are the main reason this area has become a major tourist attraction. Now, however, the Reagan administration wants to auction off nearly 250,000 acres up here. And if the plan is approved, it'll be the first time the national forests have ever been put up for bids.
As far as I know, it's the very first time. Most of what we've done is acquire land or exchange lands. We have not been in the land disposal business in the past.
The Forest Service still needs congressional approval before the deal goes through. But several northern Minnesota resorters who lease their land are already looking forward to buying the government out.
Well, I like to own the property, and you can do as you see fit, you know, with the property.
There are also a lot of people who'd like nothing better than the chance to buy the federal land that their summer homes sit on. Yet much of this land that could be sold off is prime wildlife habitat in environmentally sensitive areas. For example, 35 eagles' nests are located on the land tentatively up for grabs in the Chippewa National Forest, which is the most important nesting ground in the lower 48 states.
It does include some tracts that have eagles' nests on them. It does include some 50-some miles of shoreline or better, things like that. So, yes, there are some sensitive areas.
Environmental groups are afraid that development would do irreparable damage to these sensitive areas, and they're lobbying hard to get the Forest Service to hold on to this land. And right now, it looks as though it'll be several months before Congress decides whether speculators should get their checkbooks out. Tom Stewart, Channel 5 Eyewitness News, the Chippewa National Forest.
$3 million for Hennepin County, $1 million for Ramsey. That's how much federal welfare aid the county's lost over the past 2 years because of a $5 million accounting mistake by the state welfare department. Yesterday we told you how 75 counties got too much money and 12 got too little. Today, Money Specialist Dennis Moore talked to the welfare directors of Hennepin and Ramsey about the impact of the loss and the possible solutions.
Shelter for the homeless, food for the hungry, daycare, help for the elderly, the mentally ill. That's what the federal money bought, but in 1982, Minnesota got $20 million less to buy social services than it had the year before. Ramsey County lost an extra $500,000 because of the state's error.
1/3 of all of the services that we purchased were cut out, and probably 10 to 15% of the staff that we employ were cut back. It wouldn't have been as bad if we had received the other $500,000.
County commissions tried to maintain services using local tax money to make up some of the difference. But the shortchanged counties don't expect to get the money back from the overpaid counties. It's already been spent on services for people in need.
We don't want to, I certainly as the administrator, and I would guess that my board, don't want to just say, well, we don't care if people who need services lose services in other counties. We're concerned, obviously, about all of the people in Minnesota.
But the county executives who are shortchanged can't just forgive and forget what the state did.
The idea of forgiving and forgetting is a nice idea, but when county commissioners are faced with rising property taxes and there's $1 million that they would not have had to raise from the property tax, they can't really answer their constituents by saying, let's just forget it.
Fashingbar says the best solution may be to go to the state legislature for a special appropriation.
There are bills in the works here on drunk driving and general assistance that could cost Ramsey County $1 million over the next couple of years. So it isn't clear what the shortchanged counties will be able to do with their lost money, even if they get it back. In St. Paul, I'm Dennis Moore, Channel 5 Eyewitness News.
In Washington today, a tent city calling attention to the homeless and the hungry was dismantled. The Community for Creative Nonviolence bowed to court pressure and took down its tents across the street from the White House. The court refused to permit anybody to sleep in the tents during the planned 2-week protest. And today, Reaganville, as it was dubbed, came down. In a moment, a report on the launching of the Minneapolis-St. Paul from Tom Garrison, who just flew into our newsroom, literally. And we'll have the story of rookie firefighters going after the fire the hard way.
Can you recognize these old familiar products? For generations, your family has used and trusted many name brand products. They've become like old friends. And here's one that lots of proud family bakers trust. Crystal Sugar. Pure, proud, sweet Crystal Sugar. A name brand you can trust.
Look everywhere in the city, then come find the famous name electronics you want at the sale prices you want. Now, at Dayton's Electronics Sale.
You and Me Baby is a YMCA health and fitness program for women during and following pregnancy. The program also includes family classes. Both parents with their babies learn playtime routines that help parents stay fit and develop baby's strength and coordination. You and Me Baby is offered at many YMCA branches in the Twin Cities area. Just one of their family support and fitness programs. Call your nearest YMCA for information.
The launching of the nuclear attack submarine, the USS Mpls, went off without a hitch at high tide today on the East Coast. The ceremonies in Groton, Connecticut, however, were notable not so much for who was there, but for who was not. Tom Garrison is just back from Groton. He is now in the newsroom. Tom.
Dennis, there were some empty chairs at the shipyards of the General Dynamics Electric Boat Division. Not one of Minnesota's congressmen was there for the launching of the $500 million submarine. Also absent were the mayors of Minneapolis and St. Paul. Now, that's the first time that anyone can recall a ship named after a city has not had a mayor or deputy mayor present at the christening.
In the name of the United States, I christen thee, Minneapolis, St. Paul. May God bless her and all who sail in her.
Launch.
But the wife of Senator Dave Durenberger was there to do the honors. And just after 12 noon, the nuclear attack submarine was on its way to begin a year of sea trials. The primary mission of the 6,900-ton Minneapolis-St. Paul is to stop enemy subs from attacking us. Despite what some call an essentially defensive weapon, both Twin Cities mayors were absent, citing financial reasons. But Senator Dave Durenberger, who was there for the keynote, declined to criticize Mayors Frazier and Latimer.
Maybe it's better that the politicians weren't here, that the cities were represented by their citizens rather than by their politicians.
Also absent were most of the protesters. Perhaps because of the rain, all but 100 stayed away. Despite one arrest, it was a peaceful demonstration, one that East Coast protesters hope will spread.
Minnesota is, of course, a very progressive state dating back to the turn of the 20th century when it was one of the most progressive states in the Union. I think we on the East Coast have been particularly sensitive to it because we around here, we can see the submarines and the MXs are being constructed and built near Boston and the like. So I think that helps explain why the East Coast perhaps has been more sensitive.
Now, I should point out that despite the absences of the Twin Cities mayors, several veterans groups were there, and a statement from the mayors was read. It was generally supportive. However, the financial reason for not attending may not hold up. Eyewitness News has learned that more than one corporate offer was made to fly them out there for free.
Okay, Tom, thank you very much. He just got back from Groton, Connecticut, where the Minneapolis-St. Paul was launched. Well, Eyewitness News has commissioned a telephone survey to find out how the Twin Cities feel about the new submarine and its name. 200 people were called randomly, and here are the results. Now, first off, not everybody has heard about the Minneapolis-St. Paul, but when asked how they feel about the naming of the sub after the cities, most of the respondents were positive. Only a small percentage thought it was a poor idea. As for why, it gives recognition to the cities, it is an honor, but some people do not like the city's connection with military weapons. While champagne flowed over the sub in Groton, bread was broken over it in St. Paul. 30 people held a vigil in the United Church of Christ to protest the naming of the nuclear sub. Prayers were offered for the crew of the Minneapolis-St. Paul, and the bread was broken as a symbol of peace. But outside the church, counter-demonstrators proclaimed their support for a strong defense. Those demonstrators carried signs depicting what they say would be military insecurity promoted by a nuclear arms freeze. Rookie firefighters in Dakota County put on quite a demonstration today. They were experiencing what it is like to put out a fire from the inside of a burning building. The fire was set for the rookies. It was supposed to be controlled, but as Dave Andrews tells us, things got a bit out of control.
Many of the trainees had never entered a burning building before today, but with most volunteer fire departments now equipped with the gear necessary to battle fires from the inside, training like today's is invaluable, both from a safety standpoint and also in learning the most effective way to control spreading flames inside a structure.
Okay, let's try one. Pop this here. All the way open. All the way open. Down it. Knock it down. Let's get some flare up on the ceiling.
Most of the people that were in the training today were rookie firemen. Most of them haven't been in any burning buildings before. You can go through all the training, you can do the classroom stuff, you can watch films, you can do all that kind of stuff, but none of it really means anything until you get in there and have the flames coming right over your head. That's the way you really learn how to attack these things.
What did you get out of it?
Quite a bit. We learned a different technique of putting fire out with a lot less water.
The plan today was to burn down this vacant building, the former Dakota County poorhouse, at the end of the training exercise. But it didn't work out that way. One of the room fires spread out of control, and the building had to be evacuated before all of the trainees had the chance to fight the controlled interior fires. Nonetheless, coordinators were satisfied, saying the experience gained today will help all of the departments when they're called on to battle the real thing back in their communities. Dave Andrews, Channel 5 Eyewitness News in Farmington.
Still coming up tonight, Jason Davis goes on the road again to Chisholm, Minnesota for a special reunion between a man and his old alma mater. But first, Dave Dahl and the old weather.
Yeah, it's getting old around here in the Twin Cities. The same old thing. We might have a few flurries, but along with that, some much colder temperatures. Stay with us for the forecast next.
I remember that picnic and those muffins. Nobody makes muffins anymore.
Muffins?
Whatever happened to that beef stew?
Perkins introduces new dinners with touches of home, like homestead beef stew, new buttermilk batter fried chicken, and buttermilk sour cream muffins made fresh each day.
You brought me here for this? Mm-hmm. Good.
You know, when spring is so close, I get tired of talking about the kind of weather you've had to talk about the last
Really, I'm getting tired of it too, Dennis. You can go ahead and talk about it.
Well, tell me there's a change coming.
There's not much of a change coming. Same old cloudy skies here in the Twin Cities and a same old cool day. Our high officially out at the airport was only 33 degrees. That's 5 below the average. And the low this morning is actually the current temperature of 30 degrees. We had a low this morning of 31. The record way back in 1910 was 72 degrees. Now that would feel awfully nice here in the Twin Cities area, but the cool was the word across the country as temperatures mainly were very, very cool for this time of the year, all the way down to the south. They had highs only in the 20s, way down across the Oklahoma Panhandle. Look at that spread in temperatures across Texas. A 50-degree spread from 80s to 30s. Up there in Amarillo, they have 7 inches of snow on the ground. That kept their temperatures down. Very, very cool there for the most part, though, across the midsection of the U.S. And still this evening, temperatures are very, very chilly. Right now, only in the teens up in northern North Dakota. 14 up there in Williston, 18 for Grand Forks. Gradually warms up, though, as you move southeastward, and we're in the 30s right here in the Twin Cities area. The official temperature now at 10 o'clock is 30 degrees, 13 for the dew point as the air is really starting to dry out. Relative humidity is now set at 49%. Those strong winds have been very, very gusty all throughout the afternoon. Northeast now at 18, gusting to 26. That's giving us a wind chill of only 5 above. And barometers on the rise right now at an even 30 inches. High pressure has been trying to push across the upper Midwest throughout the entire day. That storm system we had yesterday is now pushed out across the east, not before dropping 6 inches of snow on Neenah, Wisconsin. And those clouds gradually left us early in the afternoon, gave us a peek at the sun, but it didn't last very long. The reason, the clouds from the southern system finally moved into the southern part of the state. Now, most of that moisture is staying well to the south of us. You can see those clouds continue to build up in the 24-hour satellite loop. See those clouds continue to push northeastward right across Iowa and much of Missouri, but most of the moisture-laden clouds are staying down to the south, all the way down through Arkansas and eastern Oklahoma. That's where the heaviest snow and rain is occurring right now. On the national radar map, you can see some fairly heavy snow is pushing up as far north as southern Iowa. But right now, they're expecting most of the snowfall to be from eastern Kansas into much of western Missouri, where they have travelers advisories out. Then way down to the south, they have some very heavy thunderstorms. They have a tornado watch out until midnight tonight for southern and central Texas. Those storm systems have been staying well to our south, and the main reason is the upper winds. They've been taking the storms in across California and then pushing them well to the south through the southern Mississippi Valley before they curve northeastward. And all that does for us here in the upper Midwest is keep us dry but cool. And we're going to stay cool for the next 24 hours at least here in the upper Midwest. And the reason is that large area of high pressure that's now sitting way up in central Canada is finally winning the battle. That'll move down across Minnesota, probably be sitting right over the Twin Cities by late in the day tomorrow, and that may clear our skies. The forecast in detail right now is calling for cloudy but cool tonight. A few flakes in the air, not too much to be concerned with. 21 to 26 for lows, north to northeast winds at 10 to 20. Then for tomorrow, Mostly cloudy, but continued cool. Maybe a little bit of sunshine in the afternoon. 27 to 32 for highs. The strong northeast winds continue. Tomorrow night into Monday, looking for clear to partly cloudy, but still cool. Very, very cool for this time of the year. As a matter of fact, about 10 degrees below average. Lows in the teens and highs of only around 30. And the extended outlook maybe warms us up to the upper 30s.
How optimistic.
Late in the week. Yeah.
You said cool. Larry Burnett went boo.
Yeah, I saw him.
Thanks for the forecast anyway, Dave. Sure. Well, what about the sports tonight?
We got a bunch of it. The top seeds begin play in the NCAA basketball tournament, and the Gophers and the North Stars, big important games tonight. The story's next on Eyewitness Sports.
Value Plus from Dayton, the Oxford cloth button-down shirt. Easy Care 60/40 cotton blend, just $15.99 at Dayton's. Value Plus.
Are you listening to 1500 KSTP radio station?
Yes, Igor, yes.
Idiot! What are they saying?
If I can, I'll not go labor camp.
Niet.
Well, there are many talk shows, news, weather. Why do these Twin Cityites want to know so much?
Heads will roll, Stepanovich. Heads will roll.
The Carlton proudly presents Bob Hope, Larry Gatlin, James Brown, Jerry Jeff Walker. Call 854-9300 for reservations.
One of the things I discovered when I became a Girl Scout leader was how important my skills and knowledge really are.
Okay, girls, what we're going to...
Working in partnership with girls gives me the opportunity to share what I've learned with someone who needs to know. And it's helped me discover talents I never even knew I had. Girl Scouting helps girls and adults find new worlds together. You could find a new world for yourself and make a world of difference to a girl. To join us, call your local Girl Scout council and volunteer.
Larry Burnett here to tell us about the hometown team.
Boy, the Gopher hockey team looks sharp tonight. Got a chance to watch them for a couple of periods, and that Gopher hockey team is headed for the NCAA semifinals next week in Grand Forks. Tonight, the Gophers out-hustled, out-muscled, out-quicked, and out-slicked New Hampshire to win the game 7-2 in the total goal series 16-8. New Hampshire scored first, but Butsy Erickson tied it in the first. And Tom Hirsch gave the Gophers the lead with a great backhand shot there. Look at it, 2-1 second period. And then Corey Millen made it 3-1 before the Wildcats scratched back. Watch number 11 out front. That's Dan Potter. He made it 3-2. Still second period now, and Scotty Bukestad scored an unassisted goal. Another great backhand shot. He scored twice more for the hat trick, and the Gophers advanced to the NCAA semifinals with a 16-8 victory in that total goal series. Well, the Gophers will now take on Harvard in the NCAA semifinals next Friday night in Grand Forks. Harvard, the top seed in the East, won its series with Michigan State tonight, so it'll be the Gophers against Harvard. The winner of that series plays in the NCAA championships. The North Stars getting a case of the blues tonight in St. Louis. Late in the third period, Stars are tied 3-3. They're upset because they had the lead early. Stars went ahead on the power play. Craig Hartsburg's point shot right here, well, it just sort of trickles in past Mike Liute. Stars are up 1-0 after one. Second period, watch him get the puck out to Neil Broughton, number 7 in front. His shot is going to go, but it doesn't go in. Dino sneaks in, pops it by to make it 2-0. Well, the Stars let St. Louis tie it, but Willie Plett came right back. Watch him. He's going to whirl and twirl and fire right there. It made it 3-2. St. Louis tied it early in the third. It is still tied 3-3 in the third. Calgary today tied with Boston. It was Buffalo over Montreal 6-4. The Islanders get this first time they beat Philadelphia all this season. They did it big tonight, 9-2. Edmonton beat Detroit 9-7, and Pittsburgh takes it on late tonight with Los Angeles. Well, the name Utah doesn't strike a whole lot of fear into the hearts of most college basketball players, but maybe it should. Utah pulled off an upset in the NCAA tournament today. They beat UCLA 67-61. The 7th-ranked Bruins managed to pull ahead for a while on Rod Foster's jumper right there. Well, Utah hung in there, though. They stormed ahead. A guy named Pace Mannion gets the steal here. He feeds Chris Winans, and the running Utes upset UCLA 67-61. That's the way it was in the West today. The other game had 4th-ranked Virginia defeating Washington State 54-49. In the Midwest, top-ranked Houston, no trouble with Maryland, and it was Villanova over Lamar 60-58 this afternoon in the Midwest. Now, elsewhere, defending champ North Carolina had no trouble with James Madison this afternoon. Michael Jordan on the alley-oop. He had 16 today. Last year, James Madison almost knocked off North Carolina. Well, they didn't come close today. Tar Heels won 68-49. They advanced in the NCAA East. The other game in that Eastern Regional today had Georgia winning by 2 over Virginia Commonwealth, 56-54. In the Mid-East, Arkansas, in a seesaw game, came back to win by 10 over Purdue, and it was Kentucky defeating Ohio University 57-40. The girls' high school basketball tournament came to a close tonight. Henderson won the Class A title this afternoon, 52-31 over Lake City. Henderson jumped to an early lead, never looked back. Center Lisa Walters led the Tigers with 19 points. Now her sister Cheryl had 10 more. This jumper came as the first half ended. Henderson wins its first state Class A title, 52-31. They end the year 26-0. Right now, Albany and Edina are playing for the Class AA title. Wilmer and St. Cloud Tech advance to next week's Boys State High School basketball tournament tonight. The tourney opens Thursday with Class A games at Williams Arena, AA at the St. Paul Civic Center. The Twins, they are loving that Florida sunshine, folks. Randy Bush had 4 hits today. Gary Gaetti a 2-run homer as the Twins beat Boston 7-3 in spring training. Frank Viola got the win. Minnesota now 8-3 in the spring of '83. Let's go to Hawaii. You want it? Let's go out there for some women's golf. Lynn Adams shot a 71 there today, so she has a 1-shot lead in the Kemper Open. But the putt of the day belonged to Donna Capone on the 18th green. The wind was a problem, but it didn't stop Donna from sinking a great eagle putt. She's 3 strokes behind Adams in that tournament. On the men's tour, Bill Rogers avoided the bogeyman today. He shot a 69, holds a 2-shot lead over Doug Toole and Dave Edwards in that New Orleans Open. Well, you know, everybody loves a winner, especially in Reno, but today nobody won the fight between Milt McCrory in the white trunks and Colin Jones. The fight was supposed to decide a new champion for the WBC welterweight division, but it ended in a draw, so the WBC plans a rematch in about 2 months. Hopefully someone will win that fight, and they'll get the title left vacant when Sugar Ray Leonard retired. America's Phil Mayer won today's giant slalom ski race in Furano, Japan. That victory gives Mayer this year's giant slalom championship. That goes along with the overall World Cup championship he has already won. And it's getting to be a habit for Sebastian Coe. Last week he set a world indoor best in the 800-meter run, and today in Norway, Coe set a new indoor best in the 1,000 meters with a time of 2 minutes, 18.58 seconds. It's his 11th world best or record, and that's a whole lot more than a lot of other people have.
I love it when you say, let's go to Hawaii.
Let's go to Hawaii. You want to go there now?
Well, how about Chisholm, Minnesota?
Let's go to Chisholm. On the road again.
Okay.
Right?
Chisholm, Minnesota. This summer, it's going to be a big day when the public gets its first look at a newly rebuilt landmark. And for one man, it will be a very special day. As Jason Davis reports, on the road again.
On the road again. Just can't wait to get on the road again.
The Michigan license plate on the car outside this house in Chisholm reveals the presence of Johnny Smoltz. 67-year-old Johnny has lived in Detroit since 1935, but he's never forgotten his roots here on the Iron Range. In his retirement, he enjoys making chocolate moldings for all kinds of charities.
Came from Detroit with all the chocolate in our gear and decided to make some here. We know there's a big program on the renovation of our junior high school auditorium where I went to school.
Chocolate Easter eggs, just a small but important part of a huge fundraising project to renovate the inside of this historic building.
It was built in 1924 at the then astronomical cost of $2 million. But 60 years of hard use had taken its toll on Chisholm Junior High School. But now the splendor of the magnificent auditorium is being revealed again. Using up to $250,000 raised by people like Johnny Smoltz, the work is expected to be finished by graduation day. This was the first time that Johnny Smoltz had seen the auditorium since he was a 5th grader playing a part in the Pied Piper of Hamelin on this very stage.
I had tears in my eyes the more I got in here. I have it's something else. It makes you think.
Just tells the use back, huh? You're proud to be part of it, I suppose, too.
Real proud. Only in Chisholm could anything like this ever happen.
Jason Davis on the road again in Chisholm, Minnesota.
Well, if you think Marcia Fleur is not working tonight, wrong. She and Bob Bruce are hosting the Lions Club Telethon. That's coming on in just a few moments, and they will be working all through the night and into tomorrow, and we hope you can catch some of the entertainment that they'll be offering you. We will be back tomorrow at 5:30. Till then, we wish you a good night.
KSTP-TV, St. Paul, Minneapolis, Channel 5.